Her neighbor stole her solar panels in broad daylight. Now she's about to teach him why you never mess with an electrical engineer. Lisa Morgan stood on her lawn, mouth hanging open in disbelief. The roof of her modest suburban home was bare, stripped clean of the 12 high-efficiency solar panels that had been there yesterday. $3,000 each. Gone. Looking for something? The voice made her blood boil. Victor Hammond, president of the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association, leaned against his pristine white fence, smirking. His polo shirt was tucked perfectly into pressed khakis, not a silver hair out of place. "Where are my solar panels, Victor?" Lisa's voice came out low and dangerous. He examined his manicured nails. "Removed, per Section 12 of the HOA covenant. No external modifications without committee approval." Lisa's hands balled into fists. "I had approval. I showed you the paperwork 3 months ago." The committee reconsidered. Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "We decided they were an eyesore, not in keeping with the neighborhood aesthetic." Lisa stepped closer, heart hammering in her chest. "You stole $15,000 worth of my property." "Confiscated," he corrected, raising a finger like he was lecturing a child. "And they've been put to better use. The community pool needed a power upgrade." Lisa's security camera had captured everything. Victor and 2 men in a pickup truck methodically dismantling her solar array at 6 a.m. while she was at the gym. She'd installed those panels herself, every connection, every wire carefully placed by her own hands. "This is theft, Victor." Lisa pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police." Victor's smile widened. "Go ahead. My brother-in-law is the captain. I'm sure he'll be very interested in your unauthorized modifications." Lisa froze. Everyone knew about Victor's connections. He'd been running the neighborhood like his personal kingdom for 8 years. The previous homeowner who challenged him suddenly found his water cut off for a month due to infrastructure repairs. "You won't get away with this," she whispered. Victor checked his watch. "Already have. Oh, and that ugly electric fence around your vegetable garden. That needs to go by Friday." He turned and strolled away, whistling. Lisa stood shaking in her driveway long after Victor disappeared. 20 years as an electrical engineer at Boeing, and she'd never felt so violated. Her phone rang. It was Maya from across the street. "I saw what happened. That bastard's gone too far this time." Lisa's voice cracked. "He took them, Maya. Just ripped them off my roof." "He's been doing this for years," Maya said. "Remember the Jackson family? Victor had their koi pond filled with cement because it wasn't architecturally consistent." Lisa paced her kitchen, rage building with each step. The solar panels weren't just about saving money. After her husband died last year, the project had kept her sane, giving her something to focus on besides grief. "The system won't help," Maya continued. "Victor's got the local judge in his pocket, too. Last year, 4 families tried suing the HOA. Their cases mysteriously got dismissed." Lisa stopped pacing. Her eyes drifted to her garage, to her workbench, to 20 years of electrical expertise. "Maybe I don't need the system," she said quietly. The next day, Lisa called in sick to work. She spent hours in her garage, soldering, wiring, and programming. By sunset, she had 8 new solar panels ready, smaller, more portable, and modified with a special surprise. Instead of mounting them on her roof, Lisa installed them around her vegetable garden, connected to her electric fence. Not enough voltage to cause harm, but definitely enough to make an impression. She added security cameras at every angle, disguised in birdhouses and garden gnomes. Then she waited. 3 days later, Victor took the bait. Lisa was drinking coffee when her security app chimed. On her screen, Victor and his 2 usual cronies approached her garden fence, bolt cutters in hand. "Make sure you get all 8 panels," Victor directed. "And be careful, they're expensive." His right-hand man, Dave, reached for the first panel. The moment his fingers touched the metal frame, 50 volts shot through him. Not dangerous, Lisa had calibrated it precisely, but shocking enough to send him stumbling backward with a yelp. Victor's face reddened. "What are you, 5 years old? It's just a static charge." "That wasn't static," Dave protested, shaking his hand. Victor rolled his eyes and reached for the panel himself. The shock hit him like a slap. He jerked back with a shout, tripped over a garden gnome, hiding another camera, and fell flat on his back in Lisa's tomato plants. Lisa stepped out onto her porch, phone recording everything. "Problem with my solar panels, Victor?" Victor scrambled to his feet, designer clothes smeared with soil and crushed tomatoes, face purple with rage. You can't do this. This is assault." "Is it?" Lisa tilted her head. "Funny, I'd call stealing $15,000 worth of solar panels from my roof a felony. Class B, minimum 5 years prison time." She held up her phone. "I've got you on video, twice now." Victor's cronies backed away, suddenly finding the sky very interesting. Lisa smiled. "Here's what happens next. My solar panels come back today, you resign from the HOA, and you put in writing that I can keep my new garden system." Victor's mouth opened and closed like a landed fish. "Or," Lisa continued, "I send this video to the county prosecutor, the local news, and every homeowner in Oakwood Estates." Victor's face twisted with hatred. "This isn't over." Lisa's smile hardened. "Oh, I think it's just beginning." The fallout was immediate. Victor fled in his golf cart, leaving tire marks on Lisa's perfectly manicured lawn. His cronies scrambled after him, tripping over themselves to escape the humiliation. Lisa's phone buzzed nonstop for the next hour. Apparently, someone had captured Victor's electrifying dance on video. The neighborhood group chat exploded with laughing emojis and shocked reactions. "Did you see his face?" texted Maya. "Worth every penny," Lisa replied, still watching her security footage, savoring Victor's expression of shock like a fine wine. But Lisa knew Victor too well. He wouldn't accept defeat easily. 8 years of tyrannical rule over Oakwood Estates had inflated his ego to dangerous proportions. She doubled her security cameras and kept her electric fence powered up. Sure enough, the retaliation came at dawn the next day. A bright orange citation appeared on her front door. Safety violation, unauthorized electrical equipment. Fine, $1,000. Immediate removal required. Lisa ripped it down, crumpling it in her fist. Through her kitchen window, she could see Victor watching from across the street, arms crossed, smirking like he'd just checkmated her. The doorbell rang. It was Dave, Victor's right-hand man, looking uncomfortable in his official HOA blazer. "Look, Lisa, Victor's called an emergency meeting tonight. He's going to push for legal action against you." Dave shifted his weight nervously. "He's saying your fence could have killed someone." Lisa leaned against her doorframe. "We both know that's bullshit. I calibrated it myself." "Yeah, but—" Dave lowered his voice. "Victor's brother-in-law is bringing a police officer to inspect it. They're claiming it's a public hazard." Lisa's mind raced. Victor was escalating, using his connections to bring actual law enforcement into this. She needed to move fast. "Thanks for the warning," she said. After Dave left, Lisa called Maya. "I need help. How many homeowners can you get to the emergency meeting tonight?" "Everyone," Maya said firmly. "People are sick of Victor's reign of terror. But what's your plan?" Lisa smiled grimly. "I'm going to expose more than just Victor's bruised ego." For the next 6 hours, Lisa became a detective. Using her network of neighbors and her own technical skills, she dug into the HOA's financial records that Maya's husband, the reluctant treasurer, had secretly provided. What she found made her blood boil hotter than any solar panel. The meeting was packed. Every homeowner in Oakwood Estates crammed into the community center. Victor sat at the head table, flanked by his loyal board members and a uniformed police officer. His smile was triumphant as he called the meeting to order. "We're here to discuss a serious safety violation at 42 Maple Drive," Victor announced. Lisa Morgan has installed an illegal, dangerous electrical system that— Actually, Lisa interrupted, standing up, I'd like to discuss a different violation first. Victor's smile faltered. This isn't on the agenda. Neither was stealing my solar panels, Lisa shot back. The crowd murmured in agreement. The officer looked confused. Solar panels were stolen? Victor's face reddened. That's HOA business, not police business. Really? Lisa pulled out a stack of papers. Because I think embezzlement is definitely police business. The room went silent. Victor's face drained of color. For 3 years, Lisa continued, our HOA fees have been increasing. Victor told us it was for community improvements. She handed copies of her findings to several neighbors, but according to these financial records, over $50,000 has been diverted to a shell company called Hammond Enterprises. Gas rippled through the crowd. Victor shot to his feet. This is slander. I'll sue you for defamation. Lisa smiled coldly. Truth is an absolute defense against defamation, Victor. And the truth is, you've been stealing from all of us. She turned to the police officer. The confiscated solar panels? They're not at the community pool. They were sold online. She handed him printouts of marketplace listings. Here's the proof. Same serial numbers. The officer studied the papers with growing concern. Victor's face contorted with rage. You have no authority to access HOA records. The treasurer stood up. Actually, I provided them. As treasurer, I've been suspicious for months. Another board member joined him. I endorse this investigation. Victor's been making financial decisions without board approval for years. Victor looked around wildly, seeing his support crumbling in real time. The crowd that had once feared him now stared with open hostility. This is all a misunderstanding, he stammered. The funds were reallocated for— Your vacation to Cabo last month? Lisa interrupted, projecting a photo on the wall. Victor on a beach, cocktail in hand. Interesting coincidence that the HOA account was debited $7,500 the same day you booked that trip. The police officer was now taking notes. Sir, I think we need to continue this conversation down at the station. Victor's eyes darted around like a cornered animal's. Then suddenly he bolted for the door, shoving people aside. He didn't make it 3 steps before Maya stuck out her foot. Victor went down hard, face-planting on the community center's freshly waxed floor. As the officer handcuffed a blubbering Victor, the room erupted in applause. Lisa stood in the center of it all, arms crossed, watching justice finally being served. Her phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Phase 2 complete, ready for Phase 3? Lisa smiled. Victor's humiliation was just the beginning. The next morning, a fleet of trucks arrived at Lisa's house. Workers in blue uniforms unloaded her original solar panels, recovered from a storage unit rented in Victor's name, and began reinstalling them on her roof. Lisa sipped coffee on her porch, watching with satisfaction as each panel was carefully mounted. Maya joined her, bringing fresh muffins. The news is calling it Solargate. Maya laughed, showing Lisa her phone. The local station had run the story complete with Victor's electrifying garden dance. His preliminary hearing is next week, Lisa said. Embezzlement, grand theft, fraud. They found evidence going back 5 years. And the HOA? Lisa smiled. Emergency election tonight. I've been nominated for president. 3 neighbors stopped by to thank Lisa, each with stories of Victor's past abuses. The retired couple whose disability ramp had been declared non-compliant. The single mom fined for having a basketball hoop. The veteran prohibited from flying an American flag outside designated holidays. You expose more than just theft, said old Mr. Jenkins, squeezing Lisa's hand. You freed our neighborhood. That evening, Lisa stood before a packed community center, the same room where Victor had planned to destroy her less than 24 hours ago. I never wanted to be HOA president, she began. But I've learned something important. Communities need protection from people who abuse power, not from people who install solar panels. The crowd laughed, then applauded. My first act as president will be establishing new bylaws. No more arbitrary rules, no more selective enforcement, and definitely no more stealing solar panels. As the meeting ended, Lisa's phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Lisa Morgan? A woman's voice asked. Speaking. This is Catherine Lewis, producer at Channel 70 News. Your story's gone viral, not just locally. We've heard from 3 other neighborhoods with similar problems. Would you be willing to share how you exposed your HOA president? Lisa watched as neighbors chatted and laughed together on the community center lawn, many meeting for the first time despite living doors apart for years. Victor's reign had kept them isolated, afraid to form alliances. Actually, Lisa said, I'd like to talk about something bigger. How ordinary people can stand up to petty tyrants and win. 1 week later, Lisa's solar panels were fully operational again. Her electric fence remained, now with a small sign reading HOA approved that made visitors chuckle. Victor Hammond awaited trial from the county jail, his bail denied after investigators discovered a one-way ticket to Mexico in his possession. His brother-in-law, the police captain, had been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Lisa's interview aired nationally, inspiring homeowners across the country to examine their own HOA finances. Similar scandals emerged in dozens of communities. Solargate became shorthand for exposing corruption in unexpected places. As Lisa sat on her porch that evening, watching her solar panels glinting in the sunset, she felt a peace she hadn't experienced since her husband's passing. He would have loved this, not just the technical victory, but standing up for what was right. Her phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Channel 7 says you're trending. Yes, solar justice. Lisa smiled, looking around at her neighborhood, truly her community now. Sometimes it took a shock to the system to bring people together, and sometimes justice was as renewable as the energy that powered her home. If you've ever stood up to a bully or corrupt authority figure, share your story in the comments below. Hit subscribe for more inspiring true stories of everyday heroes, and remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is shed light on darkness. Like the video if you believe in standing up for what's right, no matter how powerful your opponent seems.